Now, getting into our conversation this morning, and we are marking the World Heart Week, and we're looking at all the things around us. This particular date was set in the year 2000, and it's celebrated or marked every 29th of September. So this is that particular week, and we're going to be talking about all of that. And in studio with me is Dr. Daniel Ndwiga, who is a cardiologist. Karibu sana kwenye studio. And I don't know if it happened to you, but I remember when I was in primary school and we were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And there were so many things that people would say. But I remember I said I wanted to be a cardiologist. I do not know what happened along the way, but here I am. And I'm assuming there's so many other people as well who said, and we knew all these big words somehow. Yes. And we're here probably pursuing that or not pursuing that. But maybe, but basics, what does a cardiologist do before we get into the topic of today?
A cardiologist is a doctor who treats the heart, who diagnoses, treats, and helps people promote their heart health, which is quite in line with what you're discussing today.
Absolutely. And since the 2000s, when this particular day was marked, the 29th of September, to talk about heart issues, heart failures, and all the things concerning or troubling the heart. I don't know if love is in there, but we're going to be talking about that later in the show. But as a cardiologist, have you been walking this journey since then?
Yes. By then, I was actually an undergraduate in school in the year 2000. But every year we mark this day, and we take advantage of the awareness that this creates to bring the attention of the public to the fact that you can actually promote, sustain, and encourage heart health. It's almost wholly preventable. The majority of heart diseases are preventable. Only a small proportion come in with birth. Yeah, so we want
when you say preventable, it is very worrying because then we are being negligent in some way.
Yes, and that's the message you want to make this week.
Exactly, because when you look at the statistics here, they say that around this conversation is probably not happening enough, and the heart disease and stroke are the world's leading cause of death, claiming about 17.3 million lives each year, and these numbers are still rising.
Yes. Unfortunately, this will continue to rise, especially in our part of the world. Because in the Western world, they've gotten to the point that they're so health conscious that they will be willing to change. Instead of taking the nyama choma, they'll be willing to take some salads and some fish. Instead of driving to work, they'll be willing to ride to work in a bicycle or walk.
Yes. My goodness. And we are not. If you have a car over here, you want to show up at work with it every day. We're not walking, but then we'll be magged.
Good point.
Well, this year, as we mark the World Heart Day on the 29th of September, what is the theme for this year? What are we looking at?
The World Heart Federation worldwide has come up with this particular theme for this year, and it's make a promise. Make a promise, first of all, to yourself, to your family, to your community, and as a policy maker, make a promise to make policies that are heart-friendly. We realize that even homemakers make a promise to cook food that is going to be healthy for the family. Make a promise. You can start it. Start with resolve, with a decision, quality decision to make decisions that can change and promote health both for yourself and for the family. Make a promise is our theme this year.
Wow. It's very personalized because it starts with you in whatever role that you play in the society. If you're a homemaker, if you go to the gym, you decide for yourself if you're going to eat healthy, it starts with you. And even as an institution, what are you giving your people for lunch?
Yes, it is.
That's really interesting to note. That's the theme, make a promise. There's heart disease, there's heart attack and heart failure. What's the difference between those three?
Disease is a term that talks about dis-ease, meaning you're not at ease. So the reason for not being at ease is very different. It could be that someone was born, for instance, people know about this, a hole in the heart. So there's dis-ease because of a hole in the heart. Beyond that, most of the other diseases that we come across have a cause. Early in life, we have sore throats that are not treated quickly that result in consequent damage to the heart valves. That's been a pretty common problem in our part of the world. It's called rheumatic heart disease. So that's, for the majority of the time, the last 30 or 40 years, that's been the main problem we've had. Sore throats, not treated quickly, end up with damage to the valves. However, unfortunately, we are seeing a change and a turn because infections are quickly treated these days. From the dispensaries to the health centers, they know how to look for this disease and they treat very, very quickly and effectively. So what we are seeing are diseases that come out of what we call lifestyle diseases, and that's what we're really targeting during this week.
All right. And the heart attack and the heart failure, do they
come from that.
They come
Basically,
from that.
what you're talking about is diseases that come from overeating, poor diet, lack of exercise, smoking, alcohol, lots of stress, not sleeping enough. So all this predisposed to things like diabetes, overweight, high blood pressure, high uric acid and things like that. And as a consequence of that, you get high blood pressure or you get diabetes, and this put a lot of pressure on the heart. So heart failure means that the heart is unable to perform its regular function, which is to pump blood all around the body, cleaning the body, giving the body enough energy. So when that happens, it's sort of like a car that's grinding to a halt, operating at gear 1 until it sort of grinds to a halt, to the point that someone can only just sit there, cannot be able to function. That's heart failure. Heart attack talks about a sudden, cessation or stopping in the function of the heart. It could be electrical, it could be to the blood supply, could be the strength of the heart. So there are different aspects where heart failure can come from. And most of the time it's a gradual thing that doesn't happen, suddenly. But heart attack now talks about heart not working anymore. And usually, unless there's quick intervention, we lose the client.
All right. Dr. Dwiga, you mentioned that these are things that we could probably protect ourselves from.
Yes.
So what are some of the symptoms that we need to look out for to know that there's disease in the heart?
By and large, you talk about the major symptoms of a heart that's not working very, very well. Getting easily tired, excessively fatigued, shortness of breath when someone is active or walking, dizziness, headache, swelling of the legs. All of these are telltale signs that really you need to get your heart checked.
Swelling of the legs, you said?
Yes, it is.
And you said sore throat could also cause a heart disease.
Yes, it is.
This is very scary. That
we're talking about a whole spectrum
yes.
of disease, beginning with that which has to do with infections, which usually happens when people are young, in their up to the age of 21. There's rheumatic heart disease that is actually an issue. But beyond the age of 21 is what we're saying is wholly preventable.
Yeah.
We can address, we can treat, and we can prevent because it's a major driver of this 76 million we are seeing worldwide dying from heart disease.
Yeah, and saying that we are coming from the part of the world that is really being affected by all of this, what are are there tests to get checked? You see, when they talk about cancer, there are screenings that happen all over, and we have a month where all these things are free. Do we have that for heart conditions?
Yes, we do. We talk about your numbers. Your numbers have to do with your weight, your height, your body mass index, your blood pressure, and your sugar. If we could just observe these 4, we could avoid most of the problems that we're experiencing. Unfortunately, we're seeing an upsurge in overweight, obesity, especially in urban centers, but especially around our urban centers, because Mount Kenya region has been studied quite well, and the Nyanza region. And there's quite a bit of obesity, overweight coming up. So just watch your weight, your blood pressure, your sugar, and we call the body mass index, which is the assessment of your height against your weight.
Great. Even when you look at the BMIs and everything, there's a different number for the gentlemen and different for the ladies.
Yes.
Is it the same with the heart? Are there different predisposing factors that will affect the women more than the men?
Yes. By and large, men are at a greater risk than the women. But once women attain, has to do with testosterone.
Okay.
Estrogen is very, very protective.
Oh, wow.
So after menopause, unfortunately, the women catch up with the men, and we are at the same level of risk.
Say that again. So we are doing great until
you become like us. Then we run on the same road, unfortunately, because estrogen protects women, but after menopause, women are at the same level of risk as the men.
But just to note, it doesn't mean that even when you're a younger woman who has not gotten to menopause, it doesn't mean that your risks your risks are lower. You could also still get it. It's not...
In a measure, you're protected, in a measure, but only if you observe these other factors, because none of these things, we don't say it's just one silver bullet that causes this, one major cause. It's many, many factors coming in. Genetics has a role, but what we are really addressing is lifestyle. If we can change our lifestyles, we'll avoid many of these problems.
See, this kind of education, does it start at the beginning? Or, remember when we were in primary school, we were told how to categorize our foods.
Yes.
And I think that's the one thing, because they say 20% exercise and 80% what you ingest. Is that conversation serious when we are in school, and how important it is for us as human beings who will be independent after leaving our parents' homes? Do you think that communication is effective or is being done the right way that it's supposed to be done? At that particular level?
We are drawing from the success of the HIV/AIDS story because we have had tremendous success, thankfully, in this part of the world.
Yeah.
We need to bring in the same tactics into the treatment of lifestyle diseases because we understood quite clearly the ABCs that protected us from HIV.
Yeah.
We need to bring the same thing in terms of our numbers where lifestyle diseases are concerned. Because if you address the fact that we are not exercising, address what we eat, prefer the traditional foods that we had in the past, avoid smoking totally, drink in moderation, we can avoid these things. But these lessons have to be, filtered down to the point that it's understood at every age set. In the primary school, child understands what she needs to do. The high school, which is a critical point at which we begin to change our body chemistry and hormones, understand what's required to be done. When we begin to work, understand that I don't have to go for the car first. I could take a bicycle. I could get a job or live close to where I work, so I just take a 30-minute walk to and fro work, so that we make these choices that are beneficial for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely, and I hope guys are listening because these are key pointers to note. What are some of the risk factors, or even before we get to the risk factors, maybe the basic, what are cardiovascular diseases?
It's diseases that have to do both the heart and the blood vessels. There are a number, so they are best categorized in terms of age sets.
Okay.
So you began with the children, people below the age of 5, and you say this have to do with birth. Either the process of birth or whether or not mother ingested the right foods, whether drugs are taken during pregnancy, and whether or not development happened the way it was supposed to happen. And you can get holes in the heart, you can get parts of the heart that are a bit enlarged, you can get inadequate differentiation in the different parts of the heart.
Okay.
As you begin from the age of 5 onwards to about the age of 17, we get more of the rheumatic heart diseases. Once again, sore throats that are not treated quickly ends up with allergies against the heart's heart valve. So you get allergic against your own body, and you damage your heart valves. And this, unfortunately, is a progressive problem that just worsens with time. And eventually, we have to change the heart valves. Beyond the age of 17 onwards, it's more to do with what people are doing. People who ingest a lot of alcohol get heart problems. People, to an extent, family planning methods that are hormonal do have a risk, not 100%, but there is a risk that can cause some heart problems. Then we begin with the issues now to do with your weight, your lifestyle, do you exercise, what are you eating? Smoking and alcohol come into play very, very largely at that point. Then as you get a bit older and your body chemistry begins to change, hormones begin to change, we now talk about the other risks that have to do with your genes, because your genes come in quite a bit with regard to your lifestyle and also your weight, for instance. And then all this build up and cause problems. By and large, if someone has diabetes or has high blood pressure, is overweight, those are the 3 major pillars that cause problems.
Yeah.
Then if on the side of it you have lifestyle problems, you're taking a lot of alcohol, you're smoking, you're exercising, that adds on to the problems you already have.
You talked about family planning, and I'm concerned a bit if women out there are told about the risks that pertains to different kinds of family planning that they are getting. Are there tests that can be done so that you protect yourself from that particular risk?
Unfortunately, it's more of education. We teach you, we tell you what it is that you need to watch out for. If, for instance, someone has had a clot in their legs, you're not supposed to take any hormone method of family planning. If you have high blood pressure, if you have varicose veins, you're not supposed to take any hormonal method of family planning. These lessons are actually are taught out in the clinics, in the family planning clinics. Yes. Yes. So our part is just come in and highlight, but it's not right to say that family planning pills cause heart problems. That's not really true. But these are part of the multifactorial aspects that bring in heart disease.
I think people need to ask these questions. Don't just take whatever it is, and if there are tests, get them done to just be on the safe side. What are some of the risk factors surrounding cardiovascular diseases?
If anyone in the family has had high blood pressure or has had diabetes or is overweight or has had heart disease, or anybody in the family has died before the age of 50, for instance, that puts you at a higher risk. Yeah, that does put you at a higher risk. If your body mass index above 28, to bring it down maybe to our level, if your weight is more than 90, that's a bit of a risk. And especially if your height is less than 6 feet, which most of us are. So by and large, don't have a weight above 90. Don't have a waistline above 38 in men.
Okay.
You really shouldn't have.
And for women,
less. Unfortunately, less. It's about 34, 35 in women.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So these are some of the risk factors we talk about. Yeah. Then beyond that now are the symptoms. We spoke about dizziness, headache, shortness of breath when you're walking, getting excessively fatigued, yeah, and heart beating very fast, swelling of the legs. All of these are factors that would alert you, maybe something is going on with my heart, I need to go and get a checkup.
All right. Now you know, guys, if you have any inkling that your feet are getting swollen, that you're getting dizzy, you're going up that one flight of stairs and you're breathing so hard, then you need to actually look at your lifestyle. But yani, the things that we do,
Yes.
the things that we ingest, the lifestyle that we have,
Yes.
that is majorly
Yes.
what would cause us to have heart disease.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions, kindly text us on 22999. That's the SMS line, and you can stream in your questions for Daktari here on Facebook. That's Switch TV Kenya, and on IG Switch TV KE. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Joyce, and standing in for her is me, Wikali Mary. Welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. I am Wikali, and your questions are coming in. Remember, we're talking about the heart because we are marking the World Heart Week, which happens on the 29th of September every single year. And looking at your questions on our SMS line, and you do not leave us your name, is saying, Wikali, would you kindly ask the guest if it's true that much intake of eggs adversely affects the heart? Daktari.
The story of eggs and cholesterol has changed a little bit in the recent past. We are now favoring animal proteins. That doesn't mean that we overuse them. We do want you to take roughage. If you're going to take anything that has protein and fat, we'd rather it was of animal source because the body is able to assimilate it quite well. The only risk with taking lots of eggs, if you take too many of them, especially boiled or raw ones, is that you do interfere with the metabolism of a vitamin called biotin. Not to do with your heart. Yeah, so we are happier these days for you to take the eggs, for you to take meat in moderation than you were a short while ago.
What changed? Science.
You see, the way medicine works and science works, that we discover. Yeah, God made it, we discover. So what we discover is what we work with.
Okay, absolutely. Yes. Hello, Wikali. Kindly ask the doctor what could be wrong with my dad. He has diabetes, but now his legs are swollen and he had a lot of fluid in his lungs too. Is this a heart condition?
It could be. The other possibility could be the kidneys, because diabetes affects four major organs really: the heart, the kidneys, the brain, the eyes, and the sexuality. So the straight answer to your dad, it's possible it could be the kidneys or the heart. Both need to be checked.
Okay. Maybe you need to get that checked. Thank you for that, Daktari. I walk every day for 30 minutes. Does this help reduce my risk of heart disease, and how much activity helps?
We suggest that you do 150 minutes of exercise per week, which has
150 minutes.
Yes. It doesn't really matter how you divide it, just make sure the 150. In general, what we expect of you is that you must pant and sweat. If the 30-minute workout makes you pant and sweat, you are above average, you're doing very well. Congratulations.
Okay. So 150 minutes is what the doctor recommends for you. And looking at Facebook, can heart failure be caused by a lot of cholesterol in our dairy meals?
Dairy, once again, is animal protein. We are happier with that. We cannot say high cholesterol means heart failure. There is a bit of a process in between where the cholesterol has to be assimilated and cause problems eventually with the body organs.
I think there's
Would say take everything in moderation. Don't just take meat alone, because that's been shown through studies to be dangerous. Take both the meats, take the cabbages, the vegetables, take the fruits, combine everything. Eat in moderation, because eating a lot will make you increase your body weight, which will cause you further problems.
Okay, and the rest of the questions, two questions also ask about proteins. I think Kevin Conde, you got your answer, because he's saying Jumbo Doc does taking proteins a lot cause heart problems. I think you've answered that. Exactly. And Kevin Conde says, when doing exercise to gain muscles, we take a lot of proteins. Is there any effect? Also, how about soya?
Soya is good, but for a man, you're taking a lot of estrogen, and you don't really want to become a lady, do you? soya is good later on when a lady does gain menopause and they need to have some synthetic estrogens coming in. So would say plant proteins are less caloric value than animal proteins.
Okay.
They are less well metabolized than animal proteins. Animal proteins are a bit better. I wouldn't fight soya, but don't take too much of it as a man.
I think basically moderation in everything
Yes.
is a good thing. Hi, good morning. Ask Daktari, my legs are get swollen from the ankles to the toes. Could that be a heart problem? They've been swelling since 2006.
The first question I'd like to ask you is what is your age? Secondly, what is your weight? Thirdly, are you not have high blood pressure or anything of that sort? Most ladies' legs swell. It has something to do with the hormones, has something to do with the weight around the waist. So that may not mean much. Secondly, the most commonest reason for swelling in the ladies' legs is actually varicose veins, which becomes more and more common after the first pregnancy and first delivery, and if they use contraceptives of one sort or the other. So swelling of the legs on its own doesn't mean heart disease, but swelling of the legs looked at in context will help us understand you a bit better.
Okay. Another question here. I was diagnosed with blockage in my heart. Is this condition reversible?
There are many areas that can block in the heart. There's the wiring of the heart can block. There's a blood supply to the heart that can block. There's the valves of the heart that can block. The straight answer is yes and no. I know that's a political answer.
I know.
But parts of the heart, when they are blocked, they can be reversed.
What
parts
parts
of the heart
cannot be reversed? Are there?
Electricity in the heart, when it's blocked, requires a replacement, which is normally what is known as a pacemaker. Valves of the heart, when they are blocked, sometimes you can expand them and we can win some years, but eventually you need to replace it. Blood supply of the heart, when it's blocked, requires a bypass, which is actually a surgery, but sometimes you can actually use tubes to open these arteries, expand them and allow blood to flow where it's supposed to flow.
Interesting. We've talked about the predisposing factors and the risks and the lifestyles of this. Let's talk about someone who actually has a heart condition.
Yes.
They have been tested and they've been confirmed that this is the condition.
Yes.
How long do they have? Are these things reversible? And what conditions are reversible and what conditions are not reversible?
The straight answer is most things in the heart are reversible. The heart is very forgiving. But it forgives those who are willing to repent. If you're willing to repent and you know, apply yourself to, first of all, treatment.
Yes.
Secondly, to a lifestyle that counters the lifestyle that got you there in the first place, the heart is very forgiving. Even when children are born with holes in the heart, we're able to restore them quickly and they're able to live, you know, gainful, fruitful lives for a measurable period.
What is a measurable period? Because it's one of the questions I was going to ask.
Yes. So we actually have a field of medicine coming up called grown-up congenital heart disease, meaning that they started off with heart disease as children, now they're grown-ups, and we're able to work with them. There are occasionally very, very severe heart diseases that may not allow a child to live through their full lifespan. But by and large, 60 or 70% of children of congenital heart diseases allow children to live to adulthood and to enjoy their lives to maturity.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. So what are some of the things that you're working towards, and everyone in the Department of Heart in this country and in the world, what are they hoping to gain from the celebrations that are going to be happening this year, or the awareness that's going to be happening this year on the 29th, marking the World Heart Day?
So the two major bodies driving the World Heart Day on the 29th of September are the Kenya Cardiac Society, which is where I come from, and the World Heart Federation Kenya. And worldwide, this is what the World Heart Federation would like us to do. We'd like us to make a promise to our families to cook and eat more healthy, a promise to our children to exercise more, help them to be more active, say no to smoking, help our loved ones to stop. A promise a healthcare provider, which is where I am, to help patients give up smoking, lower their cholesterol. A promise as a policymaker, this reaches out to our legislators and our leaders to promote policies that promote healthy hearts. A promise as an employee to invest in heart-healthy workplaces. So it's a simple promise we want from everybody. For my heart, for your heart, and from all our hearts. As the Kenya Cardiac Society and the World Heart Federation Kenya, we would like to invite as many as are able to make it to Kenyatta National Hospital this Friday and Saturday for both blood pressure and sugar screening. Both days, Friday and Saturday, it's going to be free.
Wow.
Yes. And then you're also promoting these kinds of discussions, to promote discussions and opening up and questions, and to encourage many to change their lifestyles and to seek medical attention.
This is off the cuff because most of the times we find people leaving the country to go get treatment elsewhere when they discover that they have particular conditions, and especially conditions of the heart and cancer and stuff like that. What does that mean for us, even after you've discovered that this is what I'm ailing from? But then probably, is it the cost? Is it the professionalism? Is it the knowledge? What exactly is it that pushes Kenyans to seek treatment outside the country?
That's a mixed bag, the question that doesn't have a straight answer. However, I would say this.
Yeah.
I've been trained both locally and internationally.
Okay.
And I would say that where Kenya is right now in terms of provision of healthcare, we're at a very good place. There are gaps, lots of gaps, but there are gaps everywhere, wherever it is that you're going to look. We can be able to effectively diagnose and treat most heart diseases, the majority, more than actually most of the countries in this region. There are a few that we may not have either the expertise or the equipment to treat, but those are the very, very low end. When you look at the Gaussian curve, maybe 3% of heart diseases can be treated here. We can do the majority of what is required at a very cost-effective, reasonable rate. I can compare with India, where I spent a year, and basically the cost of India for heart disease treatment and the cost of Kenya is basically the same. Secondly, we are at a place where we're able to follow you up closely. Yeah. Having diagnosed you, can follow you up closely here. Then there are very many choices here in Kenya. There are very many different types of hospitals with heart disease specialists. There are about 40 of us in this country. So if you can't afford this hospital, go to the next one. Not that hospital, go to the next one. Hospitals, including the provincial hospitals in this country, now have heart specialists. So there really isn't a good reason to go abroad for your heart. Unless the doctors here confirm to you, we cannot handle this. That goes both for the heart, to most surgeries actually, and cancer treatment. Most of the machines available in other countries now available here. Different levels of cost, but actually start home before you make a decision to go abroad.
All right. With the open day that's happening on the 29th, where people are going to come and they will get this diagnosis done on them for free.
Yes.
People for free.
Yes.
And we love free things. And this is also matters of your health. So it will be important for you to be there. But are there other conversations that will be happening in terms of taking care of yourself and things to do and not to do, especially if you go through the process and find out that, oh my God, my pressure is up there, oh, my cholesterol is up there, and diabetes and everything else? Will that be happening as well? Or is it just, nimekuambia iko hivi vibaya, now go seek treatment elsewhere? Will there be a follow-up, especially on that day?
So that particular day at Kenya National Hospital, through the Kenya Cardiac Society and World Heart Federation, Kenya, blood pressure and sugar checks and advice. I know private hospitals such as the Karen Hospital are offering heart checks during this week with consequent follow-up with regard to their physicians and their doctors. If there are areas that are found to have problems, they have counselors or nutritionists, they have other doctors to help walk with you throughout this. I'd suggest that if you are found to have a problem, Kenyatta has a cardiac clinic. It has cardiac nurses, including counselors. And very many of the other hospitals have come up with good programs where the heart is concerned. And I would actually encourage you to be able to pick it up. I'm available also to answer your questions if there are any.
Absolutely. How can people get in touch with you? That is something that you're open to for any further questions. And of course, repeat for the audience that particular day that all of this is happening.
So this is Friday and Saturday at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Free BP and sugar checks. Yes.
What times?
This is a whole day. Whole day Friday, whole day Saturday.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Love yourself. Take care of yourself. We're talking matters of the heart today, and this will transition into the next hour. We're taking a very short commercial break. We'll be right back. But right now, though, we have Eunice Njeri with Zaidi na Zaidi.